Hi, I'm Joe Connolly, along with producer Neil A. Carousso. And today you're going to hear from Justin Rodgers, the Chief Executive Officer of the Greater Jamaica Queens Development Corporation. And on these shows, we zero in on what is really happening in the different boroughs of the city and what information or trends can help other business owners in that borough or anywhere just with new ideas. So I'll pull a little switch today, and I'm going to ask producer Neil A. Caruso to ask Justin the first question because Neil grew up in Queens and is a son of Queens. Neil?
Joe, thanks for the handoff. Justin, good to have you on the show today. Let's start by asking you, what changes have you seen in Queens and your community, your neighborhood of Jamaica, since the pandemic? How is it today?
So I definitely see that businesses are definitely struggling, specifically restaurants. Um, you know, just before the pandemic, we had a very difficult time trying to attract mom and pop restaurants to downtown Jamaica specifically. But financing has now become an issue with interest rates increasing, and it looks like the Fed is going to definitely increase rates once again by 75 basis points. So financing, businesses are struggling already, and they're trying to obtain financing has been very difficult.
So these challenges, then, are you're gonna need help from the state, from the city? What are you asking for?
I think you need not only state and city, but you also need assistance from the federal government. I can tell you that we've had a lot of issues. One good thing is if you compare 2021 to 2022, um, our loan fund, we're actually on pace to double the amount of loans in 2022 that we made in 2021. That's a good sign. But you know, we still see a lot of issues ahead. I would say in the next 12 to 18 months.
Who are or what types of new businesses are opening, if so, in Jamaica and in other areas of Queens, as far as you hear?
So I can start with Jamaica. So specifically in Jamaica, we're getting a lot of national retailers. So you have Shake Shack, which I think is opening. They opened last week, which is great. I mean, we have basically all the national food retailers are now in Jamaica. And it took us almost 10 to 15 years to attract those national retailers to downtown Jamaica. In Queens specifically, I would say you still see the national retailers, but in areas such as Astoria and Long Island City, you're getting more mom and pops, and that's something definitely we would love to attract to downtown Jamaica is the mom and pops.
It is sometimes said that the big chains hurt the mom and pops. It is other times said that no, once they go in, more mom and pops open around them. Do you have, from your experience, a feel for which is the case there, Justin?
So I know in downtown Jamaica, there are approximately over 10,000 new apartment units coming to the downtown in the next 24 to 36 months. So with that being said, the housing density is increasing to the extent we definitely would like to see the national retailers. The issue is that national retailers and mom and pops cannot afford to be on Jamaica Avenue. On Jamaica Avenue, you have rents ranging anywhere between $85 per square foot up to $250 per square foot. And that those margins make it very difficult for a mom and pop restaurant, even a national retail restaurant, to survive. So what we have seen is for national retail restaurants that they take second level space. But we had one Hook and Reel, which is a seafood type of establishment. They only were able to last about a year, and they've moved on now. So now the focus really is to get mom and pop restaurants on side streets where rents, could range anywhere between $30 per square foot to maybe $60 per square foot.
Neil.
Justin, I'm curious, what's your elevator pitch for people to start a business in Queens? Why should they start a business in Queens?
I mean, Queens, we're the most diverse borough in New York City, and the density is there. So once businesses come to Queens, people will attend your establishments. But the density is in Queens. Queens is a great borough. I'm born and raised in Queens, and I think if you open an establishment, people will come.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's all location, right? Isn't it? And so, what are the types of businesses you'd like to see other than mom and pop specifically? You want to see more restaurants? You want to see more retail outlets? What are you hoping for?
Well, I know specifically in downtown Jamaica, I would love to see restaurants, bars. I live in Kew Gardens, which is between Forest Hills and Jamaica. And usually, if I want to go out at night, I always go to Forest Hills. I would love to see bars, restaurants, lounges, those type of establishments. And one thing about downtown Jamaica is that we are a very rich transit hub. So I think that as I said, even if you create destinations, people have easy access to get there via public transportation.
Yeah, and you have these huge government agencies and government offices, and it just seems as though there's so many people there, even without the transit hub. Maybe you just want to sell more to all of them, right? How can you accelerate this, Justin?
I think we definitely need assistance from the public sector. So I think the city of New York in the next, hopefully in the next 3 months, will announce a major office anchor coming to the downtown. But with that being said, we need additional density. We're getting the people who will live in downtown Jamaica, but it would be great to get more people who work. And as I said before, as you said, most of the people who work in the downtown are all related to, public agencies. So on the city and state level and federal government, because the Joseph Adabo building has the Social Security Administration there. And the thing about that building specifically is it can accommodate 3,000 people, but currently I think only 1,200 are actually working in that building.
Neil?
Yeah, so one of the stories that Joe and I have been following closely has been the growth of the outer boroughs. We've covered Brooklyn, so now that we're talking to you, we're curious about Queens. How has remote work impacted the residential trends? Is that something that you think is sustainable? Obviously, you have great proximity into Manhattan. Are people, flocking to Queens where you think that there are opportunities for growth?
So I definitely think there are opportunities for growth. So what we have seen is that the cost to live in both Manhattan and Brooklyn is so expensive that people are starting to move eastward. So eastward meaning Queens, um, you know, specifically in Jamaica. So what we did is, as an organization, about a month ago, we opened actually a co-working space. We opened a 10,000 square foot co-working space, Nexus Jamaica. Beautiful space. It had a very complex capital stack. We had city funding, state funding, and to give you an example about the pandemic, we were literally about to start construction, and then at the time, Governor Cuomo shut New York State down. So what we had to do is, we had to wait several months, meaning 6 to 8 months, and then revisit the project. The issue is once we revisit the project, the cost of materials increased and the cost of construction increased. So our project, which originally was maybe about $5.5 million project, increased to $7 million. So we had to be creative and figure out another way to finance the project, and we used federal new market tax credits. But I think that just shows what other businesses are dealing with: increase in cost of materials, and then labor. I mean, we have had issues trying to find people to come work for us as an organization. We've had to increase salary ranges. And then another thing that we had to do is, everyone right now wants to have the ability to work remote. No one wants to come back into the office 5 days a week. So, as a corporation, we work on a hybrid schedule where you come in 2 days one week and you come in 3 days the next week. But everybody that we interview wants to be on a hybrid schedule.
I noticed that, Queens makes up almost a third or a little bit more than a third of the landmass of New York City. And it's very close in population to Brooklyn. But I'm getting the sense from you that there's still another spark that's needed here.
I mean,
Something's going to happen to accelerate it.
I definitely think so. And one part of that is actually in process now.
Yeah.
So that is the JFK revitalization. That is over an $18 billion. Yep, 18 billion for B. Revitalization, if you include all of the terminals as well as the adjacent infrastructure. And I think that that's a great opportunity for small business in Queens to try to figure out how to get involved with that project. Because, I mean, as I said, it's $18 billion worth of work. And it's not only on the construction side, you have professional services and vendors as well. So I am actually part of that, the JFK Revitalization Council. I co-chair the Business Development Committee with Senator James Sanders. And, we're definitely looking to attract businesses and figure out specifically, MWBE and disadvantaged businesses. But as me being a Queens native, I want to see all businesses in Queens to figure out somehow how to get on the JFK project.
And will you help them if they call the Jamaica?
Greater Jamaica Development Corporation? Yes. We definitely help.
Okay,
we work
Neil?
very closely with the Port Authority.
Go ahead, Neil.
That's interesting. So I guess, one last for me, and it would kind of go towards the economy right now. It's a challenging time for businesses, obviously. When things improve, because they generally do, where should people be looking in terms of opportunity? What businesses? Because we know about the restaurants and all of that, but there have to be maybe professional services firms, things where there are needs for people. Where's the need in Queens?
So I can tell you, and this is based on our new co-working space, as I said, 10,000 square feet. We are finding that a lot of businesses in the healthcare industry, we're starting to attract to our co-working space. Environmental firms, we are attracting to our co-working space, as well as public affairs type of firms. Most of these firms are either sole proprietors or have maybe one or two employees. But I would definitely say specifically healthcare is definitely somewhere where people definitely need to look into.
How's the co-working space going, Justin?
We're definitely starting to pick up speed. As I said, we had a huge ribbon cutting with Governor Hochul earlier in the summer. I mean, I'll be honest. The issue is that a lot of people didn't know about us and know that we're there. But I can tell you, we're really starting to program this space. And people are starting to see the space. They all love it. And we're in the process of definitely signing new members because the co-working space is a combination of not only open desks, but we have offices. And we actually changed the design after COVID. So we added additional one-person offices because, we felt that people just didn't feel comfortable being in an open space. But we're definitely picking up steam.
Where's it located? Going well. What's the address?
So the address is 89-14 Parsons Boulevard, the 5th floor.
And this is run by the Development Corporation? You run it?
Yes, we own, we operate it.
Wow. And last question. You've done well, risen to a powerful position in Queens. Why have you stayed in Queens your whole life? You grew up there and you're still happy there, obviously.
So I can tell you, I've been at Greater Jamaica for 16 years. And as I said, I was born and raised in Jamaica, Queens. So anytime that it would be two things. Anytime I would get a job offer to leave Greater Jamaica, I considered it, but I just couldn't do it. Or I was working on a project which I knew would make a difference in the community. And I would not want to leave until I completed the project. So that being said, now it got to the point where I was head of real estate. My predecessor, Hope Knight, left to run Empire State Development Corporation, and I was made interim president and CEO. I was interim president and CEO for 8 months. And like I said, now I feel at this point like I can't leave my team, my staff, they're great. and I'm born and raised, and I'm making a difference in the community. So I mean, that I can't beat that.
Oh, that's great. Good for you. Good luck. Good luck. Thank you very much, Justin.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Neil.